HR issues can kill you. One complaint against your company can turn your world upside down. And you spend way too much time dealing with HR when you should be spending your time on making a profit. You should talk to Bambee. With Bambee, get access to your own dedicated US-based HR manager starting at just $99 per month. They get to know you and your business while providing HR expertise and the personal touch you need and want. They're available by phone, email, and real-time chat, so onboarding and terminations run smoothly. Team members reach peak performance, and your business stays compliant with changing HR regulations. And with Bambee's HR Autopilot, you'll automate important HR practices like setting policies, training, and feedback. HR managers can easily cost $80,000 a year, but Bambee starts at $99 per month. Schedule your free conversation today to see how much Bambee can take off your plate. Go to Bambee.com right now and type in Accelerate under podcast when you sign up. It'll really help the show. Spelled BAM, BEE.com. Bambee.com. Type in Accelerate.
Better sleep means a better you. That's why Mattress Firm stands behind the Rest Assured promise, featuring the best mattresses from America's top-rated brands like the Tempur-Breeze collection. And save up to $500 on premium adjustable mattress sets. Plus, get a $300 instant gift with your purchase, good towards sleep accessories. Shop Tempur-Pedic, Stearns & Foster, and more with our sleep experts today to get your best sleep, only at Mattress Firm. Offer valid with qualifying purchase. Restrictions apply. Valid at participating locations only. Visit mattressfirm.com for complete details.
Welcome to Accelerate Your Business Growth with your host, Diane Helbig. Diane is a leading small business development and leadership coach, author, and speaker who is passionate about sharing valuable ideas, tips, and techniques with business professionals worldwide. Diane brings you the world's experts and gurus in all things business. Whether it's sales, structure, social media, planning, or plateauing, guests bring their expertise and energy to each episode. When growing your business is your focus, Accelerate Your Business Growth is the show to listen to. Got a topic or guest suggestion? Let Diane know. The goal is to make sure you have the information you need to move your business forward. Thanks for joining us. Settle in and enjoy.
Hello, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us. Today's podcast is sponsored by Audible.com. Audible.com is a leading provider of spoken audio entertainment and information. Listen to audiobooks whenever and wherever you want. Get a free book when you sign up for a 30-day free trial at audibletrial.com/businessgrowth. Accelerate Your Business Growth podcast is enjoying inclusion on lists of the best podcasts to listen to. This is due in great part to the guests that join me. They have expertise in a variety of business areas, and they share that expertise with all of you so that you can do better things in your business. Today's no different. Today, my guest is Shane Spiers. Shane is a business scaling strategist based in the UK and is an accomplished leader with sales and marketing executives, mid-sized and FTSE 250 success. His business track record is dominated by leading 7, 8, and 9-figure rapid growth companies. His roles have included CEO of a $25 million company providing services to UK central government and CEO of a $240 million business unit responsible for leading a team of over 1,000 people operating in 135 sites in 23 cities. Thanks so much for joining me today, Shane.
Oh, thank you. The pleasure is all mine.
I am excited about this topic. I think, so just so everybody knows, we are going to be talking about scaling from entrepreneurial to managed growth. And I think this is a struggle that many small business owners have. So I am wondering if you can share what the main problems business owners actually have to overcome when they're scaling from entrepreneurial to managed growth?
Yeah, I describe growing a business at this level as a three-dimensional problem. So the first dimension I talk about is complexity. So as a business grows, it becomes more and more complex to run, and that complexity is due to more employees, more customers, more products, and so forth. And that complexity creates barriers to growth. So the first is around leadership. So becoming a leader as an entrepreneur, becoming a leader of, rather than getting stuff done yourself, now you have to get it done through a whole lot of people. And that also extends to the ability or inability to hire or grow enough leaders throughout the organization who have the ability to delegate and solve problems and get stuff done. And also the second barrier is around system, getting if there's a lack of systems and structures to create consistency and routine and get stuff delivered in a consistent way. And then the third barrier is around marketing, a kind of lack of function to attract new relationships, customer and talent, and also deal with the increased competitiveness that comes with growth. So that's the first dimension. And then the second dimension is the natural cycles of growth. So, businesses don't grow in straight lines. They follow fairly predictable peaks and troughs, often to do with the number of employees than revenue. So, because that's where that complexity comes around, a number of employees. And the trick is really to jump from one peak to another without falling into a trough. And then the third dimension is the counterintuitive market dynamics often at play. And what this really boils down to for me is the right approach at a certain stage of growth is very likely to be the wrong approach at another stage of growth. So, for example, between 0 to 1 million, it's natural for leaders and entrepreneurs to focus on external sales and revenue, trying to prove that a market exists for your product, your services. But as you kind of get past the million level of revenue, the leaders need to be more focused on internal scaling and creating the conditions and systems for the longer term. And also, whilst you're in that first million, you're very focused on sales and revenue. Between 1 and 10 million, you've got to be very focused on cash, because growth sucks cash.
Mm-hmm. Wow, interesting. Okay, so talk to me some about the symptoms of a company not scaling effectively, so that the listeners can identify if that's happening to them right now.
Yeah, I often these are kind of personal symptoms that particularly in the entrepreneur meet. And the first one is often what I call a feeling stuck frustration. So feeling stuck that what worked in the past, what's brought success to this to date, is now no longer working, and there's this kind of a feeling stuck. You feel like you're on a treadmill, running and getting nowhere, and that kind of often can lead to a lack in confidence, because you can't figure out what's going wrong. The second symptom I often see is this, what I call working in the weeds overwhelm. But so when you build a business around yourself, and you become overwhelmed as that complexity grows, as the amount of stuff going on, you become overwhelmed by minutiae and firefighting and doing the heavy lifting on critical issues. And actually what's the opposite needs to happen. You've got to find a way to get your business to do more and you to do less, because the more you are there to produce, the more the business becomes reliant on you to produce. The third symptom I see is a decision paralysis, and that's really unable to make a decision to grow. So there's kind of this feeling of being stuck and go backwards and you could lose the business, or go forward and risk everything. And this often leads to this decision paralysis. And then the fourth one I see is this, when execution is breaking down. So many companies, I think, are run by high ideators, and because that entrepreneurs have big ideas, have great ideas, love love getting stuff done, but
Yeah.
often big ideas are translated too quickly into action. So what often is lacking is the development of staff, the structure, the systems, the back end delivery. So, but for most companies, you're only as good as you can execute. Without flawless execution, you'll do more replacing than growing.
My gosh, when you were talking about those, I could picture people I know who are experiencing those things. I totally get it. It's so interesting. Ugh.
Yeah, I think they're very, they're common symptoms, and they're a natural. It's a natural human, it's human nature to feel those things when you get to that feeling of being stuck.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, so let's flip it around. And can you paint a picture of a business scaling effectively and what that looks and feels like?
Yeah, well, I paint this picture for my clients of trying to paint a picture of what I see as the ingredients of a business scaling effectively. So what I say to them is, so picture yourself a Friday afternoon. It's early on a Friday afternoon. You close the laptop of you close the lid of your laptop, and you're looking out the window and you're smiling because you've got a top leadership team who are firing on all cylinders, who have really clear purpose and a clear plan and really clear priorities about what's got to be done in the business. You're feeling relaxed because the rest of your organization is on the same page. They're faced in the same direction and consistently driving execution and results. And you're delighted that your team are continually improving and refining the business systems and infrastructure. It's become a way of working in the organization, of this continuous improvement. And the culture of the business is obvious by high levels of accountability and high levels of challenge and support among your people. And the business is in good financial shape, set for year-on-year growth, and you're able to weather any storms headed away, so you feel secure about the future. And also the value of the business is exponentially increasing because the day-to-day running revolves less and less around you, and you're confidently planning various ways to reap the rewards of all your hard work. And then, maybe not now, but someday you'll have an exit decision to make, to either sell or scale the business further, or step back and from the day-to-day and own it passively. So that picture I'm painting kind of goes to a number of areas that I think you've got to focus on when you're scaling an organization, from building a cohesive top team, who are focused on external market activities and also internal scaling activities, but also then they are getting the rest of the organization at a place where they can consistently drive execution and results.
That is great. One of the things that I really like about that is it is really clear, and it hits on very specific areas of the business that people can look at and say, am I there? Right? Do I have that?
Yeah.
Do I have that? No. So it sort of gives them an idea of where they might need to be focusing.
Yes.
Wow. Now, speaking of that, though, are there mistakes that you see entrepreneurs make, or that they should avoid making when they go to fix a growth problem?
Yeah, I see some common mistakes across clients when I meet them. One is that their kind of first mistake is they think they've got to spend more time working in the business. They've got to work harder, and which is the exact opposite of what is required. As I talked about, one of those symptoms, you've got to find a way to do less and get your business to produce more, and that's not just for your own sake, but it's for your business's sake. It makes you less vulnerable, and your customers less vulnerable, and your employees less vulnerable if you're getting your organization working more. The second mistake I see is it's probably that it applies to a lot of tactics, but probably the biggest one is investing heavily in sales, because you think it's the perfectly sensible thing to do, and you want to grow your business. Makes sense to have more salespeople, right? But it's not, and it does for small to mid-sized business. It often doesn't work out that way. So if you're not investing in other parts of your business at the same time, so for example, your order fulfillment, your staff development, your systems, your back-end delivery, then that's when things start to break down. You start to get customer dissatisfaction. You're getting shipping delays. You're getting staff absenteeism. Those sorts of things start to come to the fore. Then the next mistake is I see a lot of chasing a long list of growth initiatives. So often when leaders develop a new strategy, they start at looking at places to grow, and they develop this long list of initiatives of these are the things we could do to grow. But most growing organizations have too many priorities to achieve the level of focus they need to achieve. So scaling a business is got to be about taking one significant step at a time and then checking the data and adjusting accordingly.
That's awesome. It's so interesting. And I think it is key. I'm so glad that you said to not invest in sales if you're not going to invest in the rest of it, because it's so bad for everybody. I remember working for a business that the sales staff was out in the field all over the United States, and they were constantly selling, but the systems in-house were not effectively in place.
Yeah.
So product wasn't getting there on time. And they end up spending their time having to respond to these things.
Yep.
And smooth over the relationship instead of being able to tell a really good story about something that works.
Absolutely.
Wow. Yeah, that is big. Okay. So what kind of help do you think business owners need to scale from like 7 to 8 figures and beyond? Is there something typical that they need to be doing, or the sort of help they need to be finding?
Well, my ideas are developing on this, and what a slight concern that I have at the moment that is a kind of a view on entrepreneurship that is slightly out of kink, but a lot of entrepreneurship is seen as having a great idea, disrupting industries, fast success, instant gratification, and I don't think that's right. I think that a lot of visionary, a lot of the largest successful organizations were built on the timeless fundamentals of having a really clear vision and all of those sorts of things. And I think that sort of help that entrepreneurs need to, successful entrepreneurs, to bridge this gap from moving from entrepreneurial growth to managed growth is about going back to some of those timeless fundamentals, the stuff from good to great and built to last and all of those sorts of things. But, in a world of constant change, I think that's when you need those fundamentals more than ever. So I'm talking things about building an organization that's a clock builder, not a time teller, so that it can prosper beyond a single leader. It can prosper beyond a single product, that ultimately long-term successful organizations go through multiple product cycles and all of those sorts of things. So you're building an organization based on long-term success. The company's built around a really core purpose or core idea about what you're looking to change in the world. What are you looking to make better for your customers? And that's what great cultures and organizations built, and what attracts the best people and the best talent. And other things like growing your management, your leadership, growing your leaders from there, finding people that fit with your culture, fit with your values, and then developing those people as leaders of the future. And you stimulate progress through having really clear vision and creating a culture of innovation and continuous improvement. And those are the things that I see as entrepreneurs needing the tools and the models to help with.
That's fascinating. I get it. I think sometimes people think they're supposed to disrupt just for the sake of disruption, as opposed to having something that is valuable and is going to have an impact and make a difference to whoever that target audience is.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Wow. Okay, I'm going to take a quick sponsor break, and then I have some more questions for you.
Thank you.
Accelerate Your Business Growth podcast is happy to be sponsored by Audible.com. Audible.com is a leading provider of spoken digital audio entertainment and information. They have over 150,000 titles to choose from, and you can listen to them on any device, including whatever you're hearing us on right now. And if you sign up at our link, which is audibletrial.com/businessgrowth, you get one free audiobook and a 1-month trial of the service. Some examples of books you can listen to on audible.com are 7 Stories Every Salesperson Must Tell by Mike Adams and The Irresistible Consultant's Guide to Winning Clients by David A. Fields. So visit audibletrial.com/businessgrowth, explore the books that are of interest to you, and receive 1 free audiobook when you sign up for the trial. Today we're speaking with Shane Spiers about scaling from entrepreneurial to managed growth. So, talk to me about what some of the skills and qualities are that business owners have to develop in order to be able to do this sort of scaling.
Yeah. I think there are really 3 core areas where a business owner or business leader has to develop in order to drive managed growth. And the first is around what I call vision, or some call it thought leadership. Really the ability to create a clear vision, a long-term goal, a big goal that's going to attract people and people want to be part of. And once you've created a really clear vision of where you want to take the organization, then it's the ability to set strategy, set really clear courses of action, and all of the shorter term milestones that align people onto the same page. So that first area is what I call vision. The second area is what I call momentum, which is probably more around action leadership. And that's really the ability to embed structure, to embed accountability, to embed discipline and routines into the organization, not to stifle the organization, because you don't want to do that, and you want to maintain an entrepreneurial spirit, but structure and routine and discipline and organization, that helps keep people aligned to what's important around here and what needs to be done, and stops distractions and all of those sorts. And it's really the key to driving consistent execution and results. And then the third area I call condition, which is really around leading people, and and most importantly, it's about the ability to create an environment where people can perform at their very best and grow. Because if your people are growing, your organization is growing. So those are the there's all sorts of skills and things to develop them, but all of those three key areas are the areas where I see the entrepreneur developing the skills and bridging the skills to manage manage stuff through a larger organization.
Yeah, it really is a different dynamic, isn't it? That with a larger organization, you said something earlier about, what they need to get from 0 to 100 million is going to be different than what they need to go from 100 million up. And it's that old, what got you here won't get you there kind of thing. Yeah. Yeah, that's interesting. Do you find that it is challenging for entrepreneurs to embrace some of those skills?
I think for a lot of entrepreneurs that step is not for them. They enjoy startups and build-ups and making stuff happen, and the idea that dealing with the complexity and the idea of managing an organization and getting stuff done through lots of people is not for them. And I think a lot of successful entrepreneurs sell up and start up new ventures there, or they have a business that they can still control, typically probably around 7 to 10 people, because that's the most that we can typically have direct reports and we can manage. But so I think some are clear that it's not for them, and they say, no, that's not for me. I'm really clear. I'll sell up or start new stuff. I think some become stuck and remain stuck for long periods, and I think that is where a lot of this frustration comes. And then there are others who reach out for help and find new ways of developing the strategies and the skills and the capabilities required to scale and push through and develop those sorts of skills and working in a different way.
Okay, I would agree with that. I think, part of the reason why I'm so glad that we're having this conversation is because this is so important. If there's an entrepreneur who really wants to scale, then they have to look at this objectively and honestly, and look at their internal operation and what's working and what isn't, and make sure that they are growing themselves to a place where they are going to be able to effectively manage.
Yes, I agree.
So speaking of that, I know you're on record as saying that many leadership teams of small and mid-sized companies are fundamentally weak. And I'm curious what you mean by that.
Well, so a lot of business leadership teams I don't think the importance of having a solid functional leadership team is never really disputed by business leaders who are committed to scaling their businesses. But I think many of the leadership teams of small and mid-sized companies are fundamentally weak. That doesn't mean that the people are weak. Some of the people are really have IQs of 120, but the way they work together probably have an IQ of about 80. But it's so it's more about the people coming together and working in a cohesive way. And sometimes the causes for this vary from the founder's fear of hiring, better, smarter people themselves to a flawed belief that all I need is people I can delegate more of the day-to-day responsibilities, but still maintain control of the companies, or a lack of understanding of the time and energy it takes and the level of rigor required to build a leadership team capable of scaling a business for rapid growth. But the reality is that an organization will only perform to the level of its top team. And so that top team sets the standard for the level of performance, the level of behavior, and all of those sorts of things. And therefore, it's really important to have a top leadership team that functions really well. It has to be cohesive, and it has to be behaviorally unified, and so that it has to be focused on the overall common goals of the organization rather than individual objectives of the people sitting at the table.
Yeah, I think that's so key, and thank you for identifying that it's not necessarily the people, but it's how they work as a team.
Yes.
Yeah, and I think what happens is, so I'm curious what you think about this. I think what happens is CEOs or founders hire people because of their skill set for various positions in the company, and then they expect that they're just going to come together as a leadership team.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. And that's not necessarily true, right?
No. I think the days, the requirements of business stakeholders today, customers, employees, of investors, and even the communities in which we work in, because of the requirements of all those stakeholders, the days of the company being run by a charismatic founder CEO are long gone. It now requires an integrating leadership team, not a single integrator at the top. And so the first job of the leader, the top leader of the business, is to really build that cohesive leadership team as the integrator of the company.
Yeah, right. As an actual thing, like they have to spend energy and attention and intention.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, so let's talk about growth culture, because I know it's important, but I think the listeners should learn more about why it's so important, but more significantly, how leaders can cultivate a growth culture in their own business. Is getting their ego out of the way? Is it letting go of certain things? What's your take?
Yeah. So for me, culture is the way things are done around here, and it's really established by the leaders of a business, but then becomes lived by all. So a growth culture is an environment where people can perform and grow, and therefore your organization performs and grow. But this is a silly but true story. A boss I worked for one day was announcing a business restructure program, and it was obviously going to affect people's roles, and it was done in an open plan office and surrounded by individual offices for managers around the sides, and that was fine, an announcement. But at the end of the announcement, people were obviously, okay, so what does this mean for me and my jobs? And he said, okay, so if anyone wants to talk to me, my door is always open. And then he literally turned around and walked back into his office and shut his door behind him. And that, I tell that story because it just illustrates the point. That moment said more about the culture in that organization than any plaque on the wall, that your actions have to match your words. And that's what culture comes down to, the level of trust in an organization, what leaders say they will do and what they actually do. And if you have mistrust and people don't trust what leaders are going, then emotions become clouded. And then if you have emotion, people can't do their best thinking. They can't seize opportunities that come along. They can't really apply their best brain power to the tasks that are going on. So for me, how you cultivate a growth culture in a business, the first one comes down to that, the first point that comes down to that, what we talked about earlier, that you have to build a cohesive leadership team, a leadership team at the top. And it's kind of like family. If the parents' relationship is dysfunctional, the family will be too. And that's not to say good things can't come out of it. It's just that the family will not come anywhere close to realizing its potential. So, and it's the same in an organization. If the top team is not behaviorally unified, there's no chance that it will perform to its potential. So, and that's that point, that the organization will only perform to the level of the top team. So that's the first point. The second one comes back to that point I talked about earlier about vision. You have to create organizational clarity. You have to provide employees at all levels of the business with the clarity that they need to make the decision and resolve problems without having to refer to, or, to refer to supervisor and get advice from managers all the time. And for me, that starts with getting really clear about your vision, your long-term goal of your organization, but also your purpose, what you're trying to achieve as an organization, and your core values, what your guiding principles are. And then the third part of that is then embedding those values into your people processes. So if you, to cultivate the culture that you want in an organization, you need to obviously embed those core values into your critical people processes. So your hiring, your performance management, the way you do reward and recognition, even the way you fire people. So, so your core values are your guide to your culture. And then when you're hiring people, you want to hire people for attitude and train for skill. You want people that, first of all, fit with your culture. And sometimes that means you having to turn away talent that, that could make a short-term impact to your business, to your bottom line or top line. But in the long term, they're not a culture fit. So for you protect the long term of your business, you have to turn those people down. The fourth area in driving that growth culture is about developing your people, and that's about growing your people through coaching, being able to develop your managers and leaders in your business and integrate coaches and them using conversations to review individual KPIs and the critical numbers, and as well as be able to recognize good performance and analyze underperformance and talk with their teams and their people to discuss activities to get back on track. And then the final one, which I think is really key to driving growth culture, is around encouraging and driving innovation. And to drive creativity and innovation, you have to create an environment where there's a real premium on learning from failure. That if you're a leader, you don't look at who made mistakes. You examine what happened and why did it go wrong and what can we learn from it and how can we take the next step. So that's more of a culture of innovation and continuous improvement rather than finger pointing and witch hunts and all of that sort of thing.
That's phenomenal. I love that because it really does allow people the opportunity to try to do things without feeling like if they screw something up, they could lose their job.
Yeah, well, failure's got to be seen as just important as success. We know that we get our greatest learning from failures, and so within reason, that's got to be part of any organization that's got to continually innovate and create and get better at doing its stuff.
Yeah, right. Wow. Okay. If you had to, because you do, what would be your top 3 tips for an entrepreneur who's at 7 figures and is at a ceiling in their growth?
Yeah. Okay, so I think that's a great question. The first thing I would say is stop trying to resolve the problem with tactical fixes, thinking that there must be a sales problem, a marketing problem, a people problem. You're not going to solve the problem. It's that kind of Mark Twain quote: "It ain't what you don't know that gets you into trouble. It's what you know for sure that ain't so." So, I think you have to become more strategically focused, and that's getting clearer about your longer term goals, your purpose, and all of those sorts of things. And so, okay, well, where do we really want to take this business in the long term, and what strategically do we need to do that? So that's the first thing. The second thing I would is take a look in the mirror. The bottleneck is always at the top of a bottle. So recognize the part you're playing as the leader in the stuckness or the plateau of your business. Recognize your own weaknesses so that you can find the right support to backfill it, get the right help, find the right strategic mentor, coach, or advisor who's been there and done it and has the experience and tools to help you. And then the third thing is what I've already mentioned. Start with building the right team. Have team members who are smarter than you, and that's essential for a fast-growing company. You want really smart people around you, and it'll be your team, not just your product or your business strategy that's going to steer your company to success. So getting the right people on the right seats is essential.
This is so great. I have to tell you that my favorite thing that you said is the bottleneck is always at the top of the bottle. I love that.
Yeah.
It's so true. And we don't think about it. And I think people tend to start at the bottom to try and problem solve instead of at the top.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. Well, oh my gosh, Shane, I have really, really enjoyed this and appreciate the information. I think this is so valuable for those people, those entrepreneurs who really want to scale and are feeling all of that struggle. So will you tell them, how they can find you and what you've got going on, please?
Yep. So there's two URLs I'll give you. One is www.summitscalechallenge.com. So summitscalechallenge.com. And that's a 5-day business challenge where you can go and just it's an hour a day for 5 days, and it'll include 10 minutes of training each day of a lot of these things that I've talked about, and there's an action item. It'll give you a really great way to experience what it takes to scale your organization. And if you want to check out more stuff, check out my website, www.summitleader.com, and there's loads of free resources on there, from models and guides and webinars to devour to your heart's content.
That's terrific. Thank you. And I always like to thank the listeners because they are the reason we're here, as well as our sponsor. Remember, if you would like to get a free trial of audible.com and a free audiobook, go to audibletrial.com/businessgrowth and sign up for the trial. As always, continue to prosper and be curious. And until we meet again on another episode of Accelerate Your Business Growth, goodbye and good day.
Hey guys, this is Gabby Douglas. If you have an active lifestyle like me, hydration is key. That's why I love the Hydration Watermelon Smoothie from Smoothie King. Blended with whole fruits, coconut water, and more electrolytes than some of the leading sports drinks. Hydration Watermelon is the cleaner way to hydrate, with no artificial colors, flavors, or preservatives, so you can recover and perform at your peak ability during the summer heat. Order online or through the app for pickup or delivery. Smoothie King, rule the day.
Welcome, change agents, to your go-to place for stories that ignite your spirit, fuel your purpose, and connect us all. We believe in the incredible power of the human spirit, its boundless resilience, and the inspiration it brings to our lives. On the Driving Change podcast, we'll journey together through the extraordinary yet very relatable experiences of some of the most amazing people on earth. Our mission? That through these stories, we might just spark change within you and awaken a newfound motivation to harness your unique gifts to make a real difference in the world. So get ready to be inspired and join us on this incredible adventure. You can find the Driving Change podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, or wherever you love listening to your favorite podcasts.